Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. Thanks for clicking on this video, y'all. I'm headed to Louisville, Kentucky to check out the Colonel Sanders Museum, which I have never been to. But I had to start here where it all started, in Corbin, Kentucky. Welcome to the birthplace of KFC. Welcome to my Kentucky Fried vlog at the birthplace of KFC restaurant, Sanders Cafe. This will be my third time visiting, my second time going inside. I'll give you a brief tour. We're heading to Louisville to get the history of Colonel Sanders, but it all started right here. Actually, technically, it started across the street in 1930 at a Shell gas station. Colonel Harlan Sanders making that famous recipe first across the street, and then 1931, the Sanders Cafe. This is somewhat of the original building. There is a KFC inside. We'll go check that out. Also, yes, I am moving. I will get to that briefly, but first I just wanted to show you the birthplace of KFC. It says over here there is a KFC Sanders Park, or just a Sanders Park nearby. I've never been to there. That's where we'll talk about things. But first, it's about chicken. Birth of a legend, Colonel Harlan Sanders again, the part of his life that brought him fame in a small gasoline service station on the opposite side of the highway. I was just saying that. Born September 9th, 1890, near Henryville, Indiana. Yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken is a Hoosier recipe. I am a Hoosier myself, my friends. I gotta boast on that. And right inside the furthest doors from the parking lot. Ooh, man, I could go for some fried chicken for breakfast. I will have fried chicken at some point today after we conclude in Louisville at the Harlan Sanders Museum. So this is the cafe and first restaurant location. This is the oldest part right here. Over here is the original kitchen. One has to remember that every failure can be a stepping stone to something better. The words of Colonel Sanders right there. I like that very much. Harlan was extremely focused on cleanliness and quality. He included large openings in the walls so his customers could watch the attention to detail. It also gave him more chances to interact with his customers, and there are large openings right here. You could look into the kitchen and see the Colonel frying it up for you. We've got the Colonel over here in the corner with the chicken. I was just at the Big Chicken KFC restaurant in north side of Atlanta in Marietta. They had the same statue of Colonel Sanders, and from my understanding, there will be a Colonel Sanders animatronic at his museum that we're going to in Louisville. Oh wow, this is the model motel room. Harlan wanted to market his motel and show how nice his rooms were. By placing it here, anyone using the restrooms or payphone would have to see it. You can see the motel rooms off to the right of Sanders Cafe. Check this out. Look at this 1940s tile here for you. And toilet and sink. That's pretty classic. I don't think anyone's ever taken a shower here. Maybe the Colonel did. And look at that. The tile says Sanders Court and Cafe. And here's a little model of all that went down here. So you had Sanders Cafe right here, and in the present day parking lot, this is where the Sanders Court was. So where those gas pumps are today is near where the gas pumps were for Sanders Court. So it's also a gas station, and here is the original Shell gas station across the way. Across the street is technically where he sold his famous fried recipe for the first time. Now, this is actually my fourth time visiting KFC. I forgot the first time I stopped here was like 2014, and at that time this room here in the back was not here. This is amazing. This is a museum all in itself. If you're ever traveling on 75 heading to Tennessee, this is 3 miles off the interstate. Last time I was in this room was in 2022, so it's been a few years. I'm anxious to see how much KFC memorabilia there is at the Colonel Sanders Museum in Louisville later, compared to how much there is here at the birthplace of KFC. They've got a ton here. Check out these blow molds. Colonel Sanders blow molds, and also bobbleheads. Oh man, that looks good. So I will be having some fried chicken today. As I was saying, I could go get some right now and eat right here, watch TV on this Kentucky shaped table. That's pretty neat. History of the bucket. Now this is cool. I remember this. They've got them all lit up over here and they have a giant display. I'm looking now at the Star Wars cups from episode 1. That would have been 1999. I know because I was there. Look at that. They got Queen Amidala and Yoda there. I love that you can rotate these buckets and see all the way around. Pretty neat. Here's a vintage one for you right here. These are in really good shape. This one's glowing. And here is some of the china and cutlery from the original Sanders Cafe on display in here. They also have a menu here. Check out the prices. Let's see how much chicken was. Okay, this is breakfast, so we're not going to get chicken there. But orange juice was 15 cents. And the Colonel actually invented his own roasting system. Pressure cooked fried chicken. I will boast on the Colonel. It's amazing chicken. I've always loved, enjoyed KFC. My grandmother was from Kentucky and she approved, so that tells you something. All right, one more thing I will show you here in between the old restaurant and the KFC counter on display. They have a bust of the Colonel. Also this wall here. Before he was the Colonel, he was a man on a mission that would involve hard work, dedication, and chicken. Where other men would have given up, this man would succeed, making it reality. The fruits of his labor, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and his name. And here is one of Colonel Harlan Sanders' worn suits. The iconic black ribbon tie there. And then right here is one of his canes. It's really neat. And also there's a couple pins on there. Check that out. Exactly. And to find Sanders Park, you have to come to downtown Corbin. I stopped here in this parking lot. It's right behind me. I just want to show you this historic train sitting underneath this lanai. Also, there's a caboose. And as you can see, an active train going south through Corbin. It's heading to Tennessee, I'm guessing. That's where I came from this morning. Main Street Corbin is on that side of the park. I'm here in like this alleyway where it begins here as well. Got a stretch of buildings there, got a stretch of buildings back there. We enter Sanders Park and look at this. I see a statue of Colonel Sanders right smack dab in the middle. Hello, Colonel. Welcome to Corbin. He's reaching out and waving hello. This is a cool statue. This sign here talks about his secret recipe made right here, or right where we just were. Sanders Cafe, well, the Shell Station. Hello, I'm Tampa J. Thanks for watching my videos. Glad to see you all here. Thanks for clicking. This will be no surprise and should be no shock to you. I am moving again, as I said I would do almost a year ago when Chris and I announced that we were moving to Tennessee to a temporary house until her parents would move in. We would get another house, a bigger house. That has gone down. Last month, Chris and I rented a new place and we will be moving across Knoxville, still in the Knoxville vicinity, to our new home. So I just wanted to give you a life update because that will affect the channel maybe slightly, basically not at all. If I didn't mention it, you would never know. But I just wanted to let you know, coming up late April, the first half of May, we will be moving in moving mode. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of content in our new home, Tennessee. We love it so much. East Tennessee, I've barely scratched the surface in Tennessee. East, Central, and West. I am so happy. Chris is so happy. If you don't know who Chris is, that's my fiance. If you're new here, she has a channel as well. I will put a link down there, pin it, the top comment section. She's also talking about that on her channel. On her channel, you can witness a lot of awesome Halloween stuff. She loves to go shopping. Check out her platform if you haven't. If you have, I'm just preaching to the choir there. I just want to say how grateful I am for you guys, how grateful I am for all the opportunities, and I am seeing nothing but the future right now. We have only just begun. I have so many plans, so many things I want to do. Bucket list, so to speak, or yeah, a lot of bucket list things to do. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a brief life update before we head over to Louisville to the Colonel Sanders Museum. And I know someone wanted a closer look at the train, so I'm going to show this before we hit the road as well. This train is huge. I'm thinking of the Klondike Katy, which I just rode at Dollywood twice last week. This thing sits almost double its size. It is a little older. This was made in 1923. This is called Old Reliable. Here's a photo of them of it before they were restoring it there. Did a lot of work to it. Impressive. The old 2132. It says the steel L&N window caboose, originally numbered 30, was built in South Louisville in 1964. Well, look at that. It's a sign. And that's where we're heading right now. Louisville. In Louisville. 2 hours and 25 minutes. I should arrive around 3 o'clock. It closes at 5, so that should be plenty of time. Pass right by the birthplace. Look at that. I'll be back. Alright, welcome to Louisville. This is the Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters / KFC museum. Oh my glory. That's like a replica of the White House right there. That thing is huge. The Colonel deserves a house of grand. Oh, neat. There's a bust up here. Statue. Is that the Colonel? Ba 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 ba. Finger looking awesome. I don't know why it's finger looking. It's cool. It seems back here they have a modern office, perhaps some of the corporate offices to some of the elite of KFC are in that building. Check it out. So there is a museum somewhere on property. We're going to explore that. This is home of the KFC headquarters and the Colonel Sanders Museum as well. Another bust of Harlan Sanders right here. We've seen a few today. A man will rust out quicker than he will wear out. Colonel Harlan Sanders. Although there is no rust on your bust. Oh man, that rhymes. Okay, I'm hoping there's a restroom in here. That was a long ride from Corbin. Although I did stop at the Buc-ee's along the route. Gas is $3.65 there. Per gallon, by the way. Look, we have signage. Colonel Harlan Sanders Museum entryway. So I am going the right way. Alright, so right inside the doors. Check this out. Colonel Sanders Museum. There's a little desk over here. The offices are over this way. But this is a free museum just like the one in Corbin. And look at that right through the door. There's a guest book over here. I'll sign this before I leave. It's Colonel Sanders. Hello, Mr. Sanders.
Well, my name is Colonel Harlan Sanders, and this museum is all about my life, don't you see? I was born in Henryville, Indiana.
Who's your...
When I was 10, I learned an important lesson about hard work. Truth be told, it was a tongue lashing from my mother I shall never forget. I made a resolution then that I would never let anything interfere with me doing the best jobs possible. And that lesson is probably why Kentucky Fried Chicken came to be. So come on in,
look at that.
Make yourself at home. Over there to your right is where it all begins.
That was one of the most amazing introductions to a museum anywhere. Big bucket of chicken and an animatronic. Kids love that. Alright, so the Colonel, he said it all began right here. First thing I see is this case, and then all the way around there's another bust. We have photographs, we have a timeline up here, we have a documentary going. This is not as big as I thought it was, but there's a lot of great stuff. We will get into it. And there's Colonel Sanders' desk over there. Okay. And it looks like he's got a secret recipe locked there behind him, locked away. This is a chicken cooking clock timer. We've got a ceramic. Oh, it's a light. It's a lamp. It's a chicken bucket lamp. That's pretty cool. Got these mugs and these glasses. It wasn't all gravy. Here's your copy of the KFC family's tribute to our founder, the late Colonel Harlan Sanders. So this bust is unique because it was carved by Colonel Sanders' daughter, Margaret. It's really good. It's one of the better ones I've seen. So the timeline starts in 1890 when Harlan Sanders was born near Henryville, Indiana, to Wilbert and Margaret Sanders. Here's a baby picture of the Colonel taken in 1891. It's the first time I've ever seen a baby picture of Mr. KFC. In 1897, a young Harlan had his first solo cooking experience baking a loaf of bread while his mother was at work in a canning factory. So it says here in 1903, at age 16, Harlan lied about his age, saying he was 21 and joined the U.S. Army. And then in 1907, after a 6-month military tour in Cuba, Harlan was honorably discharged from the Army and went to Sheffield, Alabama to live with his Aunt Kate and Uncle John. So it wasn't until 1927 the Sanders family moved to Corbin, Kentucky and opened a Shell oil station called Sanders Service Station. And the rest is history because we've already covered the Sanders Court and Sanders Cafe, which opened in 1940. And here is Harlan and his wife Claudia Price Sanders in 1949. And here's a photo of Colonel and Pete Harmon in 1957. Pete Harmon was the first to buy a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah. So technically the first KFC is in Salt Lake, and that was 1952. I look forward to checking that out one day, the first KFC. And here is the Colonel's famous pressure cooker, as we showed back at the restaurant. The suit belonged to Colonel Sanders, the dress, his wife Claudia, and right below the suit and the dress, another one of Colonel's walking canes. This one's like silver or pewter. It's a neat portrait of the Colonel here. He's an older Colonel there. Check that out. This looks like letters to Norman Rockwell. Huh. Dear Mr. Rockwell, the inconvenience of operating long distance sometimes makes the most ambitious plans to astray. It goes on to say the Colonel has expressed a great interest in this project and is most anxious to get together with you. Signed, George Bemis. Norman Rockwell painted this portrait. That's amazing. Oh wow, we can actually get inside the bucket. First time looking back here. We'll get there in a moment. Just want to point out there is a restroom. So this is Colonel Sanders' mother here, Margaret Ann Sanders. Portrait right behind another statue of the Colonel here, before the chair and his desk. There's a phone, and we are invited to sit here. This is a great photo opportunity. It says it right here. Colonel Sanders' original office furniture. That's amazing. I love that it's just out in the open and we can sit at it. Hello, yes, operator? Give me Church's chicken. No, I'm just kidding. Here's a golden pressure cooker. Look at that. Got some names sketched into it. Kentucky Fried Chicken of Florida. Whoa! On September 7, 1977 at Orlando, Florida, in honor of his 87th birthday, Harlan Sanders was gifted this golden pressure cooker. It came from Florida. Does this open up? I wonder if we could guess the code. It says the KFC secret recipe is a combination of 11 herbs and spices that has resulted in the fingered looking good chicken to people around the world. Despite its use around the world, only a handful of people actually know the ingredients, and they've signed strict confidentiality contracts, so no one knows. Fort Knox. Look at that, Kentucky. This is a portrait of young Colonel Sanders and his mother there. And a closer look at his desk. Check this out. This drawer still pulls out. Imagine the Colonel pulling that. Most of them are all locked up. Here's a closer look at the phone. I wonder if this was his phone too. There's also a contract here. Looks like Colonel Sanders was the licensor. Garth Boyce was the licensee. This is one of the Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise contracts. It's really neat. We are stepping in the Colonel's commercials. Oh, neat. Have a finger looking good time. I've always wanted to ride in the Colonel Sanders bucket ride. Look at that. Okay, I'm getting really hungry. I want to ride that. Is that still a thing? Whatever happened to the KFC bucket ride from the commercial? Alright, so we're over here in the final corner of the museum. There are many different awards. Check out that one, which is like a wired chicken. That is the Restaurant of the Year Award. 1973, Restaurateur of the Year. Right there. Dr. Norman Vincent Bewley with Colonel Sanders, recipient of the Horatio Alger Award, Jack C. Macy, and John Y. Brown. 1965. Okay, see what's in his hand there? See that award? Well, that award right there, it's not here. I checked. So this same picture is in the bathroom that I was just in, TMI, but this is hanging over the toilet. I've seen this photograph of Colonel Sanders in many different KFCs over the years. This was an iconic photo right here. Colonel Sanders in front of his house. And here are some Shriner hats. Check this out. The plaque says the Colonel was a 32nd degree Mason of the Oliki Shrine in Lexington, Kentucky. There you go. I had no idea. And over here next to the hats, a couple of golden keys. This is the key to the city of Akron, Ohio. Whoa. And also the city of Omaha. Right there, Omaha, Nebraska. That's amazing. These scales were used by Claudia and the Colonel to weigh their secret blend of herbs and spices. This is Fairbanks right there. That's amazing. They don't make them like that anymore. And last but not least, in this case right here, another pressure cooker. I don't know if you can see it because of the glare, but it reads Colonel Harlan Sanders for so many years of dedication from the Kentucky Fried Chicken Franchisees Association of Southern California, December 4th, 1978. So another pressure cooker award. The Florida one is gold, the Southern California one is silver. And that's it. This is actually smaller than the one in Corbin, but more Colonel Sanders. Yeah, thank you. It was great.
This museum is all about my life.
This one has the animatronic, though.
I was born in Henryville, Indiana, not too far.
I was born in Henry County, Indiana.
When I was 10, I learned an important lesson about hard work.
All right, come check it out.
My name is Colonel Harlan
It just keeps
Sanders.
going. I think he's on a motion sensor. I keep triggering. We're going to sign the guest book, Colonel. Right here below your name in the book. Look at that. And we have exited back in the lobby just to show you the giant map over here. There's the front desk. There's the museum again. There's the front doors. The map of the world's cool because it's made with different photographs of KFCs around the world. Pretty neat. Right here, this would kind of be the Kentucky, Indiana area below Lake Michigan. All right, we have reached the wall of Cave Hill Cemetery. Not only is Colonel Sanders buried in here, there's quite a few notable people, but Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, is buried in here as well. I'm gonna have to go visit Muhammad Ali's grave. I got to. Such a huge fan. 1916. Looks like when this was built right here. Alright, so to find the grave of Colonel Sanders, you take the first right once you enter the main entrance of the cemetery. It says it's about a half a mile. Okay, I don't know if they did this intentionally, but once you turn right, you make that first right, there's a yellow line all the way through the cemetery. You're going to meander left and right a couple times, but if you follow the yellow line all the way to where it ends, you've heard of follow the yellow brick road. It's follow the yellow line. It ends right before the resting place of Colonel Harlan Sanders. Look at that. That's amazing. The line and what I'm looking at right here. This is more amazing, of course. There's another bust right there. Also the resting place of his wife, Claudia Ellen Sanders, born near London, Kentucky, September 7th, 1902, truly the Colonel's lady and co-worker in his enterprises, died Shelbyville, Kentucky, December 31st, 1996. And then right above the inscription, Colonel Harlan Sanders, born near Henryville, Indiana, September 9th, 1890, founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken Empire, died Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville, December 16th, 1980. And it's got all his signs there, the Shriners. Pretty cool. Check it out. The gravy. No pun intended. Colonel Harlan Sanders and his wife Claudia. This is a really nice resting place. We pay our respects. Thank you, Colonel, and thank you, Claudia. And also just notice this. I have to point this out because 21 is my favorite number. That line right down there ends in front of Colonel Sanders' grave. Just take a right at 21. This cemetery also reminds me of the Laurel Hill Cemetery, especially because most of the graves are on a hillside. Look at this. I'm following this green line now. I'm wondering if this takes me to the resting place of Muhammad Ali. Check this out. A couple of goose here. And we've got some geese. What's up? What's going on? They are right beyond the resting place of Muhammad Ali. You can see it right here. This is all the way at the back corner. The maintenance area is just to the right. Coming around the curve here. And by the way, that green line, it did end right here before. You can see my car up there on the hill. Looks like we walk up here. Looks like someone's recently laid some flowers and a book here. January 17th, 1942, June 3rd, 2016. He took a few cups of love, he took 1 tablespoon of patience, 1 teaspoon of generosity, 1 pint of kindness. He took 1 quart of laughter, 1 pinch of concern, and then he mixed willingness with happiness and added lots of faith, and he stirred it up well. Then he spread it over a span of lifetime, and he served to each and every person he met. That's really nice. And then up here on the hill, service to others is the rent you pay for your room in heaven. That is a really beautiful resting place. The geese have come down to the road. Look at that. Perhaps they heard me reading. This is one of the nicest resting places I've ever seen. I love that you'll walk up to the tomb. You look out to the quote up there. Okay, some other folks just came to pay their respects to Muhammad Ali as well. Made it back to my car. I am heading towards Illinois tonight. My hotel is in Mount Vernon, Illinois. So once I eat, I still have a pretty good trip ahead of me. I think 4 or 5 hours until I get there. So got to get going. So tonight's hotel is a little closer than I thought in Mount Vernon, Illinois. 3 hours. It looks like it's a straight shot. KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. Go Cardinals. Hello, Ohio River. The last time I was in Louisville, I toured the Louisville Slugger Museum. That was a fun day. You might remember it. Also visited a gas station called Wally's in St. Louis that same morning. It was all the same vlog. Back home again in Indiana. Very briefly. All right, when I started this video, I had no idea I would end up eating at the KFC of Corydon, Indiana. It's probably Corydon. I'm from Indiana. This is southern Indiana, so I'm not so sure. First time here. Last time I had KFC was in Marietta, Georgia, at the Big Chicken KFC. I made the mistake of getting a 4-piece. I think this time I'm gonna stick to 2-piece. All right, that was super quick. I think I walked in 2 minutes ago. 2-piece, extra crispy, coleslaw for the side, Pepsi Zero for the drink. So really neat KFC. It's got a big bucket right here, a bucket globe, just like the Big Chicken one in Georgia. And there he is, right over the restrooms. The Colonel. All right. I've enjoyed doing my Kentucky Fried vlog today, and now it's Kentucky Fried Chicken in Indiana, the birth state of myself and Mr. Harlan Sanders. So, has the famous recipe ever leaked, or is it still a secret? Has someone kind of made their own version of it, kind of guessed it? Or is it still a secret? Comment below. I'm not so sure. And here's a photograph of the Colonel getting into this old car here. I will never pass anybody up. His words right now. Here's the best that I could do. And now we come to 346 High Street here near downtown Corydon. This house right here is 346. The blue one with the white porch. This is the childhood home of actor James Best. You can actually make out the sign right there on the porch. It says home of James Best right there. We'll get out in a second. Roscoe P. Coltrane, the sheriff of Dukes of Hazzard, the actor who played Roscoe P. Coltrane, grew up right here in Indiana. He was actually born in Greenville, Kentucky, or Greenville, and he lived most of his boyhood here. And he would actually go on, of course, to become an actor. He was in many Western films. He was actually in a couple of Burt Reynolds films, Hooper and Gator specifically. Also, he was in a Western with James Stewart. You may have heard of it, Shenandoah. Look up his catalog. He was in a numerous amount of Westerns, but most famously, Roscoe P. Coltrane of the Dukes of Hazzard. I always think of his dog, the Basset Hound, Flash. I've got a hound dog myself, although her ears are much smaller. She's a beagle. So I just wanted to come over here and check this out. I was back at the KFC and I started looking around and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the home of James Best. Roscoe P. Coltrane. Says it right there on the front porch. Also nearby, the Indiana Caverns, which I look forward to checking those out someday. Take my picture. Dukes of Hazzard. Got my photo. Yeah. And right around the corner from James Best's childhood home here on Mulberry, this old home right here, more so this part of it over here, it's not really a home. This was the first state office building of Indiana. I'll come over to the other side so you can read it. There, it's in the shadows. Here you go. Built 1817, housed offices of state treasurer and auditor until fall of 1824. The cellar was the treasury vault, building used by Harrison County Seminary, 1829 to 1851. Since 1871, home of AMZ Brewster heirs. So you can see this part over here, it's a lot newer. But right there, you see the brick? That's the oldest part. It's got a basement. Man, there must have been a lot of money in that basement. I'm gonna climb up this hill here so you can see what's going on. We are overlooking Corydon. There's downtown right over there. Oh yeah, this is the front. Okay. Yeah, that looks more like a house. So we were on the side. There's the cellar door right there. Huh. The first treasury, the first state building of Indiana. Alright, so if you haven't figured it out yet, Corydon was the first state capital of Indiana. Right up there, the first office. Past this carriage house right here, this is the visitor center for Corydon. Welcome to the governor's headquarters. Home of Governor William Hendricks, 1822 to 1825. While he was governor of Indiana, front room was governor's headquarters. Hendricks was also secretary of the Constitutional Convention. This house was built in 1817. And then right next to it, got another old building, and then a church. And then look at this. It's a house. It's a little dollhouse just propped up here. Oh, it's one of those free libraries. This is just the backside. I've never seen one quite like this. We're always pointing these out. Right across from the Corydon Town Square, by the way. Look at this. There's the courthouse. All right, let's see what's inside. Oh wow, there's a ton of books in here. All right, the first thing I saw is The Terrible Truth. Secrets of the Sixth Grader. I was a sixth grader in Indiana. Look at that. Still got my secrets too. There's a lot of stuff in here. Right across the street from the governor's headquarters, you have this monument in limestone, pastoral eulogy. And there's a little bit of history over here to the left and right, and a historic sign, of course, John Shields, Lewis and Clark expedition member. Shields, born 1769 in Virginia, served as private for the entire Lewis and Clark expedition from October 19th, 1803 until October 10th, 1806. One of its 9 young men from Kentucky. He was a skilled gunsmith and blacksmith. Died in Harrison County, this one right here, December 1809. So that's why they're commemorating him here. Well, I'll be darned. A lawnmower. So that building right out there, I believe, is the first Capitol building of Indiana. First it was Corydon, then it was Vincennes, and now Indianapolis. First state capital. Corydon became the first state capital of Indiana in 1816. The first constitution was drawn up, and the first sessions of the state legislature and the Supreme Court happened here. And they mow on Tuesday evenings here in the first capital of Indiana. It's a beautiful building, not very big at all. We've got 6 windows on all 4 sides. Coming around to Main Street over here so you can see. There you go. The mower is now behind the building. Only 5 windows on this side because of the door. I'm just gonna peek inside. This is where, oh wow, that's cool. That is classic. The first Constitution of Indiana signed right in here. It looks like their hours of operation. Sunday 10 to 5, Wednesday through Sunday 10 to 5. So they were also closed today too. Looks like admission is $8. What a peaceful town. It's a beautiful day too. It's almost 60 degrees right now here in Indiana. My mom is about, 2.5, 3 hours from here. That's how far I am from my birthplace. And right here at the Harrison County Courthouse, there's a plaque commemorating the Battle of Corydon. July 9th, 1863. A force of about 400 Indiana militia and citizen volunteers commanded by Colonel Lewis Jordan engaged John Hunt Morgan's raiders, 2,400 cavalry, along a wooded ridge a mile south of Corydon. Looks like Morgan surrounded and began shelling Corydon. Jordan surrendered with 345 men. Little Civil War history for you here. And I'm back at the cow. All right, I'm gonna hit the road. I've got a 2-hour drive until my destination tonight in Illinois. I just crossed the Wabash River. We are in Illinois, my 4th state today. It'll be the last one today too. And welcome to Mount Vernon, Illinois. My hotel. Check this out. the DoubleTree, right beside, or behind I should say, this sculpture, this roadside sculpture made with a bunch of random signs, and I also see a traffic light in there. Mount Vernon, Illinois. Creativity redefined. Redefined with signs. This is really neat. US 460. We got the yield sign down here. We got some hiding back there. Historic National Road. That would be US 40. I grew up along that in Indiana. Got the traffic light. Pedestrian. US 45 all way. Crossroads of America. That's really cool. Interstate 64. Pretty neato. I don't know who made this. It looks like it may have sat before this building over here, which I believe was some sort of a welcome center, the Mount Vernon Welcome Center. It's currently sitting vacant. All right, guys, I made it. Oh, Eisenhower Interstate System. There you go. That's my hotel. I'm gonna get all checked in. Cool, they got like a restaurant there too. And welcome to my hotel room. Bathroom. Here you go. This'll do. This'll do. This'll do. Got a nice little desk where I'll edit this video. If you're watching it, already been edited. And I've got a view of the interstate. Look at that. That'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Thanks for always watching. Thanks for sticking to the end. Really appreciate that. Please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe below if it's your first time. I'm saying all the things here at the end. Just thank you. Can't thank you enough. We have only just begun. I'll see you tomorrow. Know that you are awesome, that you are loved, and know that no matter who you are, and no matter what you're going through, just know that there is always, and look for the switch, much ahead. Good night. I'm going to sleep right here. I'm just kidding. That was scary. Bye-bye.